Hello, Geometry. Welcome to our session. My name is Jesse Ling, your host today. I'm going to have a discussion with the creative legend Per Pederson about creativity and business. I'm sure a lot of you know that Per is a big name in the creative industry. He has won over 500 creative awards, including 120 kinds. From gold to titanium to Grand Prix, you name it, he has it. So I'm sure he definitely knows a few things about creativity. Per, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jesse. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure.
very excited to have you with us. So let's talk about creativity. I think maybe we start with talking about, some people say creativity could not be more important than it is today. It drives business and culture in ways that change the world. And from your experience, what is the biggest thing that we should all be doing so that we can help drive creativity forward with our clients?
Well, I think, we live in a world right now where it's pretty evident that without communication, without creativity, businesses are in deep trouble. And I've been saying this for quite a while, that we, as creatives, we almost have an obligation. It's in our sort of brief to the world that we constantly are relevant with ideas that are improving not just the companies, but also the world that our companies live in and operate in, because those things are connected. There is, in my opinion, a lot of reasons for being relevant and changing the world in a positive way. It brings stability to business. It helps companies have a relevant voice in a time where people are looking for companies to have an opinion. And basically, this is at least my observation, and I think this has been proven as well by everybody that is studying the numbers. If you stay quiet in a difficult time, that is going to come back to you as a problem later. So it's not really a strategy. So during COVID, during the racial issues, the diversity issues that has been in the US, but also has sparked a conversation around the world. Before that, the sustainability discussion. Before that, the gender equality discussion. And these can be topic after topic. If companies don't have a voice in all of that, I think long-term they'll be in trouble attracting the right talent. I think we are not doing our job if we are not pushing, even if it's hard sometimes to convince clients to take part in these discussions. And third, I think we're all going to be, as human beings, in trouble if we don't, to the best of our abilities, try to impact the world in a positive way. And creativity is one of those things that can do that.
So in other words, creativity is a way of voicing out. You actually express.
Totally. I see creativity very much related. It's a universal language like art and music. And it also unifies the world. And I think in some years ago, it might have been so that cultural differences would have made it impossible for different parts of the world to actually understand and relate to the communication coming from each area. But that is a thing of the past. I think we just have to get used to, we live in a world that is communicating globally, no matter who is saying what and where that communication comes from.
Absolutely. Actually, during this pandemic period, we actually from the Asia Pacific region, we see that across the APAC markets, a lot of our clients came to us and saying that, how can we contribute more? How can we express in a way that can help the people who is actually quarantined or suffering? So I think absolutely, creativity is definitely a way of voicing out and also expressing our ideas.
And Jesse, I think we have to just, when people think about creativity, they usually default to the sort of old-fashioned advertising stereotype of an ad, so to speak. But
right.
You are in a company that is not doing traditional advertising anyway. I haven't done traditional advertising. I can't remember since last time I did that. I used to do a lot of it, of course, like everybody. But we are now in an area where creativity is anything. It's a language. It's something that can amount to an endless amount of different solutions. I think what makes something creative in that sense is that it's new, it is relevant, it is engaging, and there is this element of craft that I just have to put out there. Say, okay, where do creativity fail? If the language is not right, if the skill of writing and the art direction and the storytelling is not right, it sort of falls flat. So that is still sort of a secret ingredient that we creatives can add to the world. And I think a lot of that was, came from our time when we did print advertising and TV commercials and even radio commercials before that. The ability to voice something, to give something an expression of some sort. But it has definitely changed, and the output is as unpredictable as there are people in the world. Which, by the way, also evens the playing field. It means that you don't need $5 million of budget to do something highly effective and global. You need a good idea and the skills to talk about it.
Yeah, I think what you said is actually very interesting, because we at Geometry, we believe that creative commerce actually represents the future of how people would experience and interact with brands. So from your perspective, what do you think about the future of commerce will look like? And also, what kind of a role creativity could play in the future of commerce?
Listen, I think creativity plays a role in every stage of our lives, and in the company, the relationship between companies and the people working for companies and the people buying products from companies, retail, online, whatever it is. I think that we're still on some sort of journey where some areas have been low on creativity, like promotion, trade marketing, the whole, in-store, that kind of stuff. Let's just call it the more hard selling stuff. How to creatively use the new platforms, digital platforms like Amazon or Alibaba or whatever it is. I still think that we need to see creativity as a much stronger ingredient in the way these kinds of things are done. Otherwise, people will, as everything, people will be tired of using it. I mean, I think there is this. It comes from the consumer, a need for, if it becomes too boring, it's like any other shop. What I think is the real enemy for companies to deal with their users, consumers, end users, is if they let machines do the work. If it just becomes input of data, output some sort of message, and we let the machines take over, I think, first of all, I don't want to live in that world. I think it's if I was to think about it as a sci-fi thing, it would be a nightmare. But I also think that by doing that, companies are missing out on the opportunity to really engage with people. So I also think it's going to be less effective as communication. I think creativity adds that extra element where it's not about the money you put into it. It's not about the reach of your channel. It's about the impact of the communication you make.
I think that's fascinating what you just say, particularly, you talk about we need to upgrade creativity in those areas. So what would be your advice to telling our people that, oftentimes we're actually encountering stubborn clients saying that this is about my discount, this is about my product offers.
Yeah.
So just focus on those and don't talk anything else. So what would be your advice, how to convince the clients? The stubborn clients.
I think, first of all, you get the client relation you deserve.
Right.
I think it's like any other relationship in life, friendship, marriage, whatever it is, you get the relationship you deserve by what you put into it. I think creating a front between us as creatives and clients is not the way to do anything. I think all good ideas that I have ever sold to clients, also some that were really daring and had a lot of consequence if we failed, were all based on years of building trust, years of building a strong relationship, of understanding each other, of respecting each other, of giving room to each other, just like in any relationship, basically, of listening to each other. not just one way, not just us listening and just doing what the client tells you. Because I have this rule that you never do what the client tells you. That's a good creative partner that will tell the client stuff that is honest and real instead of just doing whatever they're told. So, but you can create a front. I think it's a trust thing, and the more we solve of the real issues of our clients, the more we can be entitled to actually get a bit of freedom to do more creativity. Remember, this is a journey. Any creative solution is a journey together. You as a creative team and the client as a team. And I actually think the best creative solutions I ever did, and certainly the ones that I know of in the world that has been really successful, was done in a big partnership. Just think about REI, the outdoor shop in the US that decided to close on Black Friday. That was not an agency idea. That was a deep partnership with the client. I think the client actually had the idea originally, and worked with their agency to make it a titanium winning idea. Everything that Fernando Machado is doing on Burger King is another good example. He literally works almost as a creative partner with his agencies, and they respect his opinion on these creative matters because he works with these guys. Again, so let's say you have 10 amazing clients with a huge opportunity. I would start a journey step by step, building that trust, building that relationship. Don't change your team every second week. That is toxic. Stay on the relationship. Become friends. Have your roots grow together. It's hard if you don't. If you want a joint project, there needs to be some sort of blood between you almost. It's a personal thing. It's not just agency client, because that is the end. Then it becomes a watch show stuff or that kind of stuff. But that doesn't really count in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. I think what you say is just fantastic. I'm going to make sure that this recording is going to be played back to all the markets in all our offices, particularly to the account service team. When they coming back to say that client is asking for quick turnarounds, clients asking for just focus on the brief, but it's actually, like you said, it should be a journey together. Yes. I think for quite often we just forget about it. I think this is just something we need to remind ourselves. Yeah. Well, let's shift the gear and talk a little bit more about the business, because today our topic is about creativity and business. So for our business, agency business, we all know that actually you're in the process of building your own agency, and congratulations. So can you share with us that in your idea, what is the future of agency look like?
Well, I mean, I'm not actually not building an agency as such. I'm building a network, which is even more ambitious. Right. I know it almost sounds crazy. In Scandinavia, we are very democratic. We believe in the co-op business model, which is basically, you see it in, there's certain wine areas where all the wineries go together to produce one brand of wine, right? And that is the sort of birth of early stage branding, so to speak. But everybody has an equal share. Everybody shares in, and there's no C-suite, there's no fancy headquarter, there's no like the usual stuff. That co-op model is basically one of the things that I think we're going to see. At least that's what I'm launching. A much looser relationship between agencies, not owned by money. There's no corporate holding company that is owning the agency. It's actually the reverse. The agencies own the network, which is sort of the opposite version. So you enter by buying a share of the network, and then you agree to work together where it makes sense, but you don't have that army of controllers looking up your skirt all the time. I think what happened in the big holding companies was that you were so obsessed by protecting the profit margin that you forgot the core product. And my philosophy in this new network is the only focus for the network is on the quality of the product, the quality of the creative product. That's the only thing we focus on, and how people are spending their money. how they operate their company. Did they let anybody go during the crisis, or did they actually deal with it in their own way? That's up to them, because that who wants a bunch of controllers telling you what to do?
So you don't have a centralized governance that,
No.
You set the financial targets, business development targets. You
No.
actually, it's kind of more like a federation of agencies.
It's a federation.
Right.
But there is a guideline, but it's more like Fight Club. It's on ethics, it's on diversity, right. It's on people, it's on sustainability, it's on doing great work, these kinds of things. That's where we say, okay, there's no compromise on that. So there's ethics and diversity and those kinds of things that I think as creative organizations, we should care more about than how to make our money, actually. I think leave the money making to the people that are close to the clients. At the end of the day, I think profit comes from client profitability. That's how I think about it. That's how I think we can really optimize our business results, if we think client optimization and client profitability versus network profitability, which is almost an artificial entity. It is doomed, to be honest with you. When I was doing my MBAs back in the day, I used to be into this kind of thing originally. I come from business school. I have an MBA in all these things. I was always told that a company with many geographic locations, with an extremely complex product that you couldn't really standardize, you cannot run from a central hub. It's impossible. You have to put your, it's like, or you have to build an army.
Decentralized.
Yeah, you have to decentralize and find other ways to optimize your profit. But for me, again, I don't want to turn this into an attack on the holding company structure, but I think the holding companies sort of misunderstood that, or they didn't go to that, especially when you deal with creative people, where control and those kinds of things are not really the way to deal with people. So I think my setup is the answer to a wrong tendency. This is taking back territory. I think creatives need to be able to run companies. I think big organizations like Ogilvy, Gray, and so forth need to put more creatives in charge. And the ratio is just wrong. It's just wrong. You need at least 50%. You need a balance. You need to see senior people actually run the agencies that come from a creative background, or it's going to be hard. So this is the opposite of that model. This is only creatives. All these agencies are owned and founded by creatives, and there's no bean counters inside. So that makes it very different. Yeah, it's also an experiment.
Absolutely.
Let's see if it works. It's probably going to be a little chaotic, but let's see.
No, it's going to be exciting. Just listen to the concept. It's already, I'm sure a lot of people will try to search. Is there a QR code will email on the screen that I can reach out to you?
No, but I'm launching all this. I mean, literally, I'll have a network that will be in 20 different markets in the world. And I'm launching this in July, mid-July, something like that. I'm putting sort of final touches to the website and that kind of stuff.
But back to the ideas you mentioned just now, what's your interpretation in terms of being a client-centric agency to partner with your clients?
I think that intention is good, actually. I totally support that intention. Also, when I was at Gray, I definitely supported that. Because the clients are sick and tired of the complexity. They basically want the team around them, and they want their own sort of bespoke network, so to speak. I think where I just want to make sure that people are a little careful is that you don't become too complex in the kinds of services that you offer. If you basically want to offer everything, everything that is under the sun, then it makes no sense. You need to have a focus in your offer. And if that focus is media, or if that focus is is creativity or whatever, then I'm okay with that. But if it's everything that you can possibly imagine, and you suddenly have 20 or 30 or even more partners joining in on that client, it becomes impossible to run and manage that.
Right.
And I think a lot of clients will sign off on that opinion, because they sometimes feel that there are too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many people at the meeting. There's too much coordination instead of focusing on the output that is really what they're paying for. So yes, client-centric, but focus. What are we doing? What is the project? What is the headline for this project? Instead of trying to tick all the boxes on marketing-related services that you can come up with.
We all know that in our industry, talent is actually the most important part. And we also started to see that a lot of the agencies, they try to evolve on how we can actually access and cultivate creative talents all over the world. And also, you know, with the diversity and everything. So what is your idea in terms of what is the best way we can let the talent thrive as we're looking to try to be nimble and also moving forward?
I think a lot of creative talent following the COVID crisis felt that those words, they had heard those words in presentations, you know, we are people centric, it's all about the talent. And then suddenly you find yourself furloughed or put on the street and all that. And
Yep.
I think a lot of these people, especially among the creatives, have been very disappointed. So I think where I see this from the big organizations that were, you know, very busy protecting their profit margin. And you know what happens if you want to protect your profit margin short term, you have to let a lot of people go, because you can't really save other costs short term than people. So you sort of default to furlough, which is a very a brutal way of letting people go in a way. A lot of the best people were let go over the past few months, and that is going to make it hard for the agencies to bounce back, because these are the people that can win the pitch. These are the people that have the experience to deliver the product that the clients are that you know wants to pay for. So if you're left with cheap people, cheap talent, I think you're facing a slower recovery than if you were keeping your best people at the core. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I think right now, I think it's hard for the best talent to justify why they want a job in advertising. I think they don't feel necessarily that this is appealing. I think we failed in attracting a new generation. We haven't solved the diversity issue. That's clear. Just walk the halls in any agency and you will see the problem. It's visual.
Right.
We haven't solved the gender issue as well. I mean, there is some alarming issues that we haven't really solved. And I think a lot of talent, rightfully so, misses a human spirit of the big agencies. This is about management style, and this is about how we communicate. So if you want the best creative, you have to get very personal. You have to throw off some of those corporate attitudes that unfortunately are sneaking into our industry. It's been going on for many years, of course, but I think we need to see stronger voices that are more humanistic, people that feel like human beings and have a creative credibility as spokespeople for the big agencies. I think when we have that, and we see the new generation of Haggertys and those kinds of people, Dan Whitens and those kinds of people, I think we have a chance as an industry to attract good people and also keep the ones that we want to keep. But for now, right. I think it's a big question mark if right. people want to join or open their own agency or whatever they want to do, or go into a completely different, more tech or whatever based career. So we have a job to do there, and it's absolutely critical that it's not done by one agency, but that is truly an industry issue that we need to solve. for sure.
So based on what you say, so if we look at it differently, so maybe it's like this is the time to act louder than your words. This is the time to really demonstrate that if a company, an agency means that you put people at the center, you need to actually demonstrate it with all your actions. Or maybe larger agency would actually lose, top talents to, senior leaders like yourself with the more humane approach to an agency that is actually truly built around people.
Coming back from all the issues that we, eventually we will come back to the world, so to speak, after all the trouble and crisis. I think it's time to change the leadership structure of the agencies. I think it's been overdue for a while that we just have the wrong people in charge of the agencies. I mean, I dare you to do a Google search on the board of any holding company, any big agency, and you're going to see a bunch of white guys in their 50s and 60s. And that's just a fact. And I wish I made it up, but there is no color. The gender issue is not fully solved yet, although that have had some sort of attention from some of them. And if you look at the background of these people, it's very hard to find people that know about creativity. They all grew up in the business side of things, the CFO. I would provocatively say that our industry currently is run by CFOs. And that I don't think is going to be a forward-facing strategy. It might be a good strategy if you want to survive some here and now issues, that you have somebody that knows about the numbers. But going forward and having growth back in our industry, you need visionary, creative, entrepreneurial guys and girls of all colors from all parts of the world, not just the US, to run the networks. And I think that's the only way. And it's going to be painful because a lot of people have to let go of their power, but that's the only way.
Right. Well, I'm actually very proud to say that if you log on to Geometry's website today, you're going to see that the global executive team of Geometry is actually, we have more diversity.
That's great.
Our key, we have a lot of female leaders. We have, people come from different backgrounds, different races. So so we are practicing. What do you say? I think this is actually very important.
And Jesse, I'm sure that a lot of agencies are doing the right thing. And I'm talking about the sort of broader perception.
Understand, of course.
Among talent, that what is happening here? I mean, is this a place for me? Can I relate to this? And I, we should be magical. I mean, we are magical people, and our leaders should be like Steve Jobs or that kind of people that inspire not just the people in the company, but also inspire the world. Those people should actually come from our industry, right? The visionary, the rule breakers, the people that set a new standard for everything, and not just are satisfied by winning a lion in Cannes, because that doesn't matter. I really think we do play, back to your first question about the role we play in society. I think we do have to play a bigger role. And I don't think we're going to play a role as companies. I think the only way we can play a big role in the world is by exercising our creative skills. That's the only way. The only way. That is how we become pop culture. That's how we become relevant. That's how we become part of a change in a positive way, part of an impact of the world. And you know what? People that feel they are in a company that impacts the world in a positive way are going to be extremely loyal. They're going to work really hard. They're not going to leave that company anytime soon. And they will take a pay cut even if they want to, even to save the company. Not because a CFO tells them to do it, but because they love the company they work for. That's the kind of mentality that I hope we're going to see more of in the future. If not, I think the big companies in our sector are going to crumble, and we're going to see hopefully a new era of a new kind of company. Creative-driven networks, creative-driven agencies that grow, like GOT in Miami, that are growing every day. What Nils Leonard is doing with his Uncommon in London. I secretly cheer for guys like that to become big. You know, even if they're competitors, but they're good colleagues and friends of mine, and I think they make us all look better.
Right.
Right. So that's what I hope for. I think what you guys are doing is great. This conference is great. Put a spark into the organization, and provocate a change. The only way.
Yeah. No, I think what you say today, Per, is fantastic. I'm sure it will stir up not only just one or two sparks, it will actually stir up a lot of different thinkings, inspire a lot of different ideas. This is exactly what we're looking for.
Great.
One last question. What would be the one piece of advice you would give to our audience today that, you know, in terms of creativity?
I think we are all creative. I think we were born creative when we entered the world. A lot of factors made us less creative, but if we channel that creativity that all human beings are born with, and we practice our skill, and we exercise that skill, and we push and influence the world around us, then not only are we going to make a positive impact on the world, we're also going to be more happy people. And you know, happy people that laugh a lot and have a good process when they work together do better work. That's just how that's just a mechanic that we just never have to underestimate. That is a big factor. So laugh more, play more, have more fun, and I don't think it's wrong to laugh, even if there is a crisis happening around us, because the alternative is to be depressed, and depression is not a very good inspiration for ideas.
No. Right. Thank you so much, Per. This is fabulous. I would definitely make sure that every single office would actually play this recording back to every employee. And once again, thank you. Also wish you a very success path in your new network.
Thank you very much, Jesse. Thank you. Namaste.